What's the difference between white tea versus green tea? In this video, we're going to find out. We're going to be comparing a few key differences between a white tea and a green tea, and then we'll finally do a taste comparison of the two. First off, what's the definition of white tea and green tea? So tea is actually split up into 6 different types: white tea, yellow tea, green tea, oolong tea, red tea, and dark tea. These types are all made from the same tea plant, but they are processed differently. White tea is the least processed of all the major tea types, but that doesn't mean that the production process isn't complex. Once the leaves are picked, they will start to oxidize and take on more of these warmer and nuttier taste characteristics. If a farmer wants to produce a green tea, he will want to stop this oxidation as soon as possible and lock in the natural vegetal flavors of the leaf. This is done by applying intense heat, and in Japan, this is done by steaming the tea leaves. This heat deactivates the enzyme oxidase that would otherwise convert the polyphenols into theaflavins and theorubicins, which is why green teas and oxidized black teas taste so different. Producing white tea, however, requires more of a light touch. The leaves will be allowed to oxidize slightly, but then the oxidation process will be slowed by drying the tea leaves. This is traditionally done by letting the leaves dry out in the sun, but it can now be done through a mechanical drying process. The farmer will need to take down the humidity in the tea leaves and pay close attention to the temperature and the moisture level. A higher temperature will dry out the leaves faster, but if the temperature is too high, it will cook the leaves and alter the flavor. Because the leaves are simply dried and not heated, the oxidation enzyme is still active, and this is why white teas can be aged like this one, which will mature the flavor over time. If we compare the leaves, you'll notice they are very different. The most notable difference is the color. This white fur is how white tea gets its name. A lot of white teas are made from the buds of the tea plant, and these buds are covered with fine hairs called trichomes. In addition to the fine white buds, you'll also notice some older leaves as well. For the most part, white tea is categorized by the picking, with 3 major types: Bai Hao Yin Zhen, or silver needle, which is made from the buds; Bai Mu Dan, which is made from combining buds and older leaves; and Shou Mei, which is made from just the older leaves. This tea looks like it's a Bai Mu Dan. This white tea is actually an aged white tea from Yunnan that's actually pressed into a cake. The green tea we'll be comparing it to is the Shizuku Sencha, which is a tea we discovered when we visited the farmer Mr. Naruki in Shiran. When we look at the Shizuku Sencha, we notice much smaller, dark green leaves. Green teas like this tend to be made from the younger leaves of the tea plant. They are steamed and tightly rolled into needle shapes. During the steaming process, the leaves can get very brittle and break into smaller leaf particles. This causes them to infuse more quickly into the water. To brew these teas up, you can use a different temperature water. Because white tea has less polyphenols, it can stand up to higher temperatures. I'm going to be using about 5 grams of leaves, 150 milliliters of water, and a brewing temperature of 90 degrees Celsius or 194 degrees Fahrenheit. When it comes to Japanese green tea, you want to keep the temperature very low so you can keep the flavor balanced. Otherwise, it can become quite bitter. For the sencha, I'll use a clay Kyusu teapot and brew with 150 milliliters of water at 65 degrees Celsius or 150 degrees Fahrenheit. I'll let each of these teas brew for 1 minute and then pour them out. So you'll already notice a big difference when it comes to the color of the 2 teas. The green tea has a deep jade green color, and the white tea has an orange or amber color. Most green teas actually have a yellow color to them, but certain types of Japanese green teas like Fukumushi Sencha can have a dark, cloudy green color. In the past, I've noticed this white tea really comes out in the second infusion, so I wanted to reinfuse the leaves another time. The second infusion is a little bit darker and it has a more full-bodied flavor. I wanted to make sure to compare this sencha tea with both infusions of the white tea. So overall, the notes of this white tea are quite fruity, with notes of apricot and a hint of peach. I also noticed a dry minerality in the finish. The flavor of the green tea is completely different. There's a smooth sweetness to the tea with a starchy note of corn or sweet potato. There are some grassier notes coming through and a mouth-watering acidity. These 2 teas are very difficult to compare because they're just so different. If you're looking for a mild, warming tea with a hint of this peachy note, you should try out an aged white tea. If you want something a little bit more bold, the Shizuku Sencha is a great option. What makes this Shizuku Sencha a great tea is that it works well both hot and cold. One of the problems that you might run into when cold brewing green tea is that the flavor can be a bit weaker. Because the Shizuku Sencha is made by combining sencha leaves with matcha powder, the matcha powder is released into the water to create a cloudy infusion and a rich, slightly fruity flavor. This is a great discovery that we made when we visited the farmer Mr. Naruki in Shiran. Try this tea both hot and cold and see which way you prefer. You can get this tea and many others on our website neoteas.com and enjoy free shipping worldwide. Thank you all so much for taking the time to watch our latest tasting. We'll see you next time.